Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System. And Mother's Day is right around the corner. So we need to make something really nice for that. You can make it for yourself. You can make it for your mom, your daughter, your grandmother, whoever. But I wanted to do something special. And it's coinciding with my desire to get back to my jewelry making roots, which is to do kind of a travel log of cultural inspired jewelry making. So what I started out doing was just kind of giving people an example of different types of jewelry from other parts of the world, from all over the world. So May is going to be my jewelry making, cultural jewelry making travel log. So we're going to start with our Mother's Day program, and we're going to go to Egypt, well, Africa. So we're going to do some Egyptian spiral links, and we're going to use some recycled glass beads from Ghana. So we'll be supporting a Ghanaian village. What is a Ghanaian village while we make our piece. And I just got these in, and they are so beautiful that I cannot wait to have you use them. They're just stunningly gorgeous. They're so bright and so beautiful. I cannot believe this is made from recycled glass, but that's what we're going to be using for our piece. So you don't need really anything special. You don't have to use, if you don't get kits, those of you who get kits will get this, but if you don't get kits, all you need is what I'm using is a 10-millimeter bead, 20 gauge wire, and jump rings. That's it. The size of the jump rings is up to you. Usually in the store they have 6 and 7. It depends on where you get them, what craft store you get them from. I'm using 7-millimeter, but I would say 6, 7, maybe 8. Am I using 7 or 6? It's either 6 or 7. But I wouldn't probably, it depends on how much spread you want in between your lengths. So that's entirely up to you. That's your own design choice. So 20 gauge wire, 10-millimeter beads, and you can go smaller or larger on your beads too. That's up to you. And jump rings. You'll need your usual pliers, round nose, tapered toward the tip, but round all the way around. Square nose, slightly rounded on the outside, also tapered toward the tip, wider toward the hilt, and flat on the inside. And cutters. And I'm using these flush cutters that have the back is completely flat and the front is concave, or one side is flat and the other side is concave. You can also use, actually, any kind of cutters is fine. This is another kind of cutter, does the same thing, has a flat back. So, all right. So let's get down here. Oh, and you'll need a ruler to measure out your beads, to measure out your wire. So let's get down here and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I did was measure out some 5-inch pieces of wire, because that's what I need to make my spiral links. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my round nose pliers. I'm making my spirals asymmetrical. So one spiral is going to be slightly larger than the other. So what I want to do is find the center of my wire, and I'm just eyeballing it, and then scoot over a little bit towards the other side so that one's a little longer than the other. Then I'm going to bend my wire. I want about at least 3/4 of an inch of difference on one side from the other, 3/4 of an inch to an inch of a difference in length is what I'm after. So let's get that. fold it over. And I'm going to slide down about halfway down my pliers. And then I'm going to squeeze that, not close, but just squeeze it around the pliers. Like so. And then once I have that and I have my one length longer than the other, I can either go down here with my fingers and squeeze it under the pliers, squeeze it together, or I can grab my square pliers and squeeze it together. It depends on how strong your fingers are. I'm using dead soft wire, so it's pretty malleable, but I still think it's easier if I squeeze with my flat nose pliers under here in order to create a loop. There we go. Get that nice and firm under there. So I have a nice little loop. Okay, and I want to make sure that these are not crossed over. So if you need to, take your pliers and just flatten everything out. There we go. Go down here a little bit more. There. So now what I'm going to do is start my spirals. I'm going to go, I want my spirals to go to the side. So this is the top of my loop. It's flat, and my spirals are going to go out to each side. Okay, so I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. Just grab onto the very tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Just use one finger to anchor the wire and the very tip of the pliers to make the loop. And I like to go about 3/4 of the way around because I want that loop to be very small. And then I will go back to the back of my round nose pliers, grab onto that loop, and just squeeze it until I have a little nub. Okay, and now I'm going to switch over to my square pliers. Move this straight down so I think you can see a little bit better. Scoot that up. Okay. Switch to my square pliers, and I like to slide my wire back toward the back because you get a better grip that way without having to hold it in a death grip and risk marring your wire. So I'm going to scoot that open just a little. Grasp my wire, and I'm going to start turning. So I'm holding onto my wire with one hand and turning my loop with the other hand to create a spiral. Now, this is one way you can do it. I'm just wrapping the wire around itself. You can do it this way, just holding the wire steady and turning the plier hand, or you can hold on to the wire, the loop with pliers and bring the wire around with the other hand. Whichever is your preference, or you can do some of both. There's no one way to do it. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do these links too. And I'm going to go to the other side and make a loop on the other side going in the other direction. So again, I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers. Start my loop around. Went around about 3/4 of the way. And then just squeeze that loop. So it's a nice little nub. Okay, and let's go ahead and start another spiral. Again, I've got my wire back here towards the back of my pliers. Don't have to hold it in a death grip. It's very soft and malleable. So you can do this without really strangling your wire. Okay, so once I get the smaller one up here where the larger one is, I'm going to go back up here to the top. Grab my round pliers and about a 16th, just about a 16th of an inch away from the bottom. Sorry, sirens. It's fun living in the city. About a 16th of an inch away from the bottom of my loop, I'm going to make a bend. Just like that. That's as far as I need to go, no further. And now I'm going to go ahead and complete my little loops. I mean, my little spirals. Now my spirals, when I finish, should be about a 1/2 an inch from the bottom of my spiral to the bend. So there should be about a 1/2 an inch. So I'm going to roll it up until it looks like I might be at the 1/2 inch point. Then I'm going to start measuring to make sure I'm there. Okay. Let's bring out the ruler. All right, let's see. About a 1/2 inch from the bend. Okay, here's my 1/2 inch mark. I can turn it a little bit more. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to show you. When you get to a certain point, you can start doing this. You can turn this with your fingers. You don't even need to pick the pliers back up again. Let's measure again. Here's my little bend. There's my 1/2 an inch. Pretty good. I'll take it. I'm going to unfurl it just a little bit. And take another look. Three, four. There's my 1/2 inch. Yes. Very nice. So there's my first one. Now I'm going to do a second one. Now, I want you to know that the way I'm doing mine, again, it's asymmetrical, and I'm alternating. I'm doing one small, one large, one small is how I'm doing putting my links together. So I'm going to make the bend in the next one. I'm going to make it large on the large side. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and make another bend in my wire. Go ahead and slide my wire down about halfway down my pliers. It's a little bit longer on one side than it is the other, so I can get two different sizes. Of spiral. This is a little longer than I want, so I'm going to go over and take from the other side. Make this one a little longer, and that looks pretty good. Yes. Go back in about halfway down. Let's squeeze that together at the top here so I can get rid of any extra space I have there. And again, I can either use my fingers or my pliers to do the indentation. That will give me my loop. So I'm going to try it with my fingers and see what happens. Squeeze. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Pretty good, not too bad. Not as sharp as I would like it to be. So I'm going to grab my pliers. And get a nice sharp end in there. There we go. And there's my loop, there's my loop, there's my loop. And then I'm going to use my pliers to flatten everything out, make sure it's all side by side. There. Now, I showed you starting the spirals and then making the bend. Instead of that, I'm already up here. Let me go ahead and make my little bend. Yeah, about a 1/16 of an inch away from the bottom of my loop, and you can measure it if you want to. I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to put a little bend in it, about a 90-degree angle, just like that, just like I did the other one. Boom, there they are. And now I'm going to go down and I'm going to make my, oops, I hope I bend it the right way because I wanted this side. Yes, I did. So this one is going to have the small one on my right, and the large one on my left, and this one's going to have the large one on my right and the small one on my left. So I'm going to alternate it. Large, small, small, large, or small, large, large, small, 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 large. I'm just alternating. You'll see what I mean when I actually put the links together. So let's go ahead and go down here and make my loop, tip of my wire, grabbing it with the tip of my pliers, and anchoring this with my finger so it'll cooperate a little better, and make my 3/4 turn. And then I can either grab my square pliers, I can go back here towards the back of my round pliers and squeeze that into a little nub. Sometimes it's easier to just use the square pliers. Okay, and then grab my squares and start my spiral. I want it nice and tight. So see how I'm just holding with this hand and pushing with this one? I'm telling you, there's several ways you can do this. And this is just one of them. Make my spiral. Again, I'm going to wind it until I'm about half an inch from the bottom of my spiral to the bend in my wire. And again, I can switch off and start doing my spiral with my fingers if I choose. Whatever works better for you is fine. Okay, let's go to the other side. I think I can do a little bit more. Yes, let's give it another couple of turns here. One more little turn. And I think we're good to go. Yes. Okay, let's go to the other side. Street measure, make sure, yes. Let's go to the other side and let's start our other spiral. This is a small one. Let's go out that way. opposite direction of the first one. Open myself my 3/4 loop. And we'll squeeze it down to a little nub. And let's start spiral. Sorry for the silence. Concentrating. It's funny when I'm doing classes and they get to a point where there is dead silence in the room. Dead silence. I think that's so hilarious. Like it's like the chatter just drops off. They get so they are concentrating on what they're doing. Okay, let's measure. Okay. Yes. This can be a little, just a tiny bit more. Just a teeny tiny bit. Fraction of an inch. Yes, there we go. And so there are my two little links. This one may be a teeny bit longer. Just a smidge. Get over there. Yeah, just a tiny, 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 tiny bit. Got another little turn. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm sure you're wondering how am I supposed to put these together? Well, let me show you. All you need to do, these are supposed to hook like this. It's supposed to look like this when they're put together. Okay, so they're going to be like that. So the way that you hook them together, put the backs, which is this side where the hook is jutting out, together, turn one of them to the side, and slide it inside the loop of the other one. So this is the back. The backs are together, like so. There's the front. Trying to find a good angle here. There's the front. There are the two fronts. Turn it around to the back. Turn one of them to the side and slide it inside the loop. And if you need to, you might need to open this up a little bit, but you may not need to do that if you just push it in there. Just push it in. And there you go. And now what you need to do is close it down. So I'm going to close that down. I'm going to close this one down because I need to put another one in here. So I'm going to just take my fingers and push this loop towards the spiral. Or you can use your pliers, either one. You can go in here if you want to do that. And just push that down. Loop towards the spiral. And there's your first one. And now I have another one already made. So I'll go ahead and put that one in. Again, I'm going to put the backs together like so. Trying to find a way to do this where you can really get a good look at what I'm doing. I've not found an easy way to do that. Put my backs together. There's the front. There's the back. Slide that in the back. Oh. I'm going to have to open it up just a little. Okay. Slide that in. And push this down. I'm just going to push it down with my fingers. So here's the little ring. There's my spirals, and I can just squeeze it down with my fingers, just like that. Same thing on the other one. Ring, spirals, squeeze it together. And then what you can do is make any adjustments that you need to with your pliers. If I need to go in and straighten anything out, push anything together, just to neaten it up a little bit, you can either do it with your fingers or with your pliers. I had to open this up a little bit to get the little loop inside, so I'm gonna squeeze them back together. I call them the legs. Squeeze the little legs together. And there we have that. There are my links. Which way this canvas? There, there are my little links. Aren't they cute? All right. I'm going to put those to the side. I'm going to grab a bead. And my bead is going to attach to the ring. So that's going to go like that. Get it up here. That's going to attach the little ring, but let's go ahead and get it wrapped. Okay, so all I need to do, whatever size bead you decide to use, give yourself, especially if you're using one with a large hole like this, give yourself enough wire so that you can make a wrap on top that'll cover that hole, if that's your choice. That's what I want to do. I want to make a little cap on top that will cover that large hole. So I'm going to go down to the middle of my bead. I'm going to bend my wire on one side. And then I'm going to take the bead off because I find it easier to do that, and make a loop on one side. And I just need to go about 1/3 of the way down my pliers. Bring that wire over the top and down the side. And start one loop. Then I'm going to go ahead and put my bead back. I want it nice and tight. Bend my wire over to the side and start another loop, sliding my wire down about a third of the way down my pliers and go over to the side. And I want to make sure that it's nice and snug. So I'm going to roll my loop down until it's right up against my bead. Just roll it until it's nice and snug. There we go. And now I can wrap. So I'm going to grab my pliers, my square pliers. I'm going to hold on to the face of my loop and start wrapping. And now I like to wrap it part way, check, make sure it looks the way I want it to look, and then turn it and give it another half wrap. Take another look, see there's a little space there. I don't want that. And then do another half wrap, turn, wrap, and turn. And I'm wrapping the wire around itself. Sorry, I had to turn off my little alarm. I'm wrapping the wire around itself. I don't want it to pile up. I'm trying to make a cap so that I can cover that large hole that's there. And see, I've already done it. Let's just keep going because this is very pretty, a very pretty cap on top of my bead. And when I get to where I can't go any further with my fingers because the wire's gotten too short, I'm just going to guide it around with my pliers, not pulling, guiding. Okay. And there we go. There's my little cap on top of my bead. Let's go to the other side and do the same thing. Wrap that around part way. Check it, see if it looks the way I want it to look. It does. Give it another partial wrap. Turn, wrap, turn, wrap. Adjust, squeeze it a little bit so it's nice and my cap is going to echo the spiral in my links. So everything is going back to the spiral. And then when it gets too short, I guide over around the rest of the way with my pliers. Just push that little end. If I can push the tip under the rest of the wrap, that's really good. Then I don't have anything that's snagged. And there's my wrapped bead. Nice. Now I need to attach it. I'm making my links go one way. So my spiral's on the bottom and my little hook is on the top and it's all going to go that direction. So I'm going to attach this to the little hook on the bottom of my spiral, my last spiral. So what I need is jump rings. Very simple. So I'm going to grab a couple of jump rings. I already have some open, but I want to show you how to open them. So a couple ways you can do it. Grab your jump rings, find the opening, it's right there. Put one set of jump rings on one side, the other set on the other side, and twist. Just like that. Another way is to put one pair of pliers on one side, your thumb on the other, and push. There you go, nice open jump ring. So now I'm going to attach my bead to my links. So here's the little loop that we made on the bottom here. I'm going to slide one jump ring in that loop. And then slide my bead loop inside the jump ring. And I'm going to close it. Just close it up. And make sure those ends are flush together. And make sure the camera catches it and I can't see. Let's put this down a little bit closer and then maybe that'll help a bit. That's my little jump ring. Where's the end? Opening. Make sure it's closed. Okay. Get those little ends together. Nice. Let's grab another jump ring. Slide it inside the bead loop. Come on. Gotta pick it up first. Oh my goodness. Sometimes it's easier to do this with your fingers, but if I do, you can't see what's happening. Okay, slide it inside my link loop and then back around to my bead loop, making sure not to catch it in your other jump ring. You want those to be separate. And then close that up. You can squeeze it closed with your fingers, or you can close it with your jump rings. I mean, with your pliers. There we go. Here's my ring. And now here's the rest of my bracelet, all ready to be put together. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Let's grab a couple of jump rings and let's do that. Slide that in my bead loop and a little hook on top of my link. Close it up. Okay, and let's do a second one. And the reason I use two jump rings, particularly on this, is again, it follows the spiral look. It just looks like part of the, this has two sides, two links to it. Let's get a little closer. This has two little strands, wire strands. And then if I put two jump rings on, it just looks like part of the pattern. Instead of, it looks functional and fashionable, part of my fashion, or part of the design. Okay. And there's my bracelet. And now I'm sure you're asking, but how am I going to link it together? Oh, isn't that pretty? My goodness, that really is. How, you ask, do we link this work of art together? Well, we make a clasp. And you know me, I like my clasps to look like the rest of the project. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a spiral clasp to go with it. I love it. So we're going to take We used 5, we just need an extra inch of wire. We used 5 inches of wire, so I'm gonna use 6, so we have a little extra. Again, I'm gonna go to the halfway point and then scoot it over a little bit so that one side is bigger than the other. Or you can make them the same size since it's a clasp. If you want to be able to spot it easily, you don't have to continue with the pattern. You can do something a little bit different so that you'll recognize it when you see it. I'm going to follow the pattern. All right. So I'm going to go a little bit over on one side, slide it down. This does not need to be as big because the clasp part doesn't need that loop. So I'm going to slide it down about a third of the way down my pliers. That's as far as I need to go. Let's scoot this over. And I'm going to bend my wire. I want this a little bit longer. There we go. That's good. That's good. That's good. Squeeze that together. I don't really need a loop. I'm just going to squeeze these together. And some clips. There. And let's go ahead. So now I'm going to go ahead and make my spirals. Sorry, somebody's at the door. I'll be right back. All right, so now I want to make my spirals. But for this, because this is a little longer, I want to make sure I have a full inch by the time I make my spirals. And we'll do that. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to grab my pliers again, my round pliers, and start my little loop exactly the same way we did the other ones. We did the lengths. Go 3/4 of the way around. Make my little nub. And start my spiral. I usually start with this longer one so I don't hook myself when I'm doing the shorter one. That's okay. Great, it's starting on that. Let's switch over to the other side. Make a little loop. Make my little nub. This is a lot of repetition. Which is why I love things that are repetitive, simply because that's what makes them so easy. You don't have to think of something different to do every time. You just keep doing the same thing. Get that a little tighter. And look what comes of it, something gorgeous. Sorry about the radio silence. Okay, let's measure. A little bit more. Use my fingers. Oops, everything all nice and blend out, close together. An inch. Let's get a little bit more, just a tad. A ruler will travel. There we go. A nice inch from the top of my spiral to the tip. Okay, let's grab my pliers. Right here at the top of my spiral, I'm going to put a bend. Again, you only want to go maybe a 1/16 of an inch away from the top of your spiral. Before I do that, I'm going to squeeze this closed a little bit because I don't need a wide opening up here. Because this is a clasp. The legs together. Okay, grab my round nose pliers and put a bend in. Let's fold that over. Push it the rest of the way with my fingers. I'm going to adjust it if I need to. And then go to the other side here and make sure this is straight. Okay, and then go to the top of my little spiral and fold this down over the top. Just like that. And that is my clasp. Make any little adjustments that I need to make sure it's nice and straight. There's my little clasp. Okay, let's back to my bracelet. This is going to hook into my little loop over here, and this is going to be attached with a jump ring. So let's grab a jump ring, a couple of jump rings really. Slide that into my little hook here at the top. Slide that into the hook onto my clasp. Close it up. Oh, really? You're doing that again? Uh, okay, let's close it up. Let's grab another jump ring. Slide it inside. The little hook of my link and inside the little hook of my clasp. Making sure not to catch it in the other jump ring. We don't want those hooked together. And close it up. Oh, what did I just do? I pulled my little leg apart. Put it back together. There we go. Get back to my little jump ring. And close it nice and tight. There we go. So there's my bracelet. And here's my little hook. Am I going the right way? Yes. Yes, they're my little rings. Oh, you know what? I think I put it on the upside down. I did. Ah, I put it on upside down. I need to flip it over. It's supposed to be this way. Down here. Oh, it is. It just slid. Okay, so there's my little, oh my gosh. There's my little jump rings. There's my hook. And I just hook it into the hook at the bottom of my spiral. And it looks like the rest of the bracelet. I love that. I love it. I have people, when they look at pictures, they go, but how did you hook it? Well, you've got a nice hidden clasp. It looks like the rest. Oh, isn't that pretty? That is so beautiful. I've got to put it on. Yes. All right. Oh, glasses. I'm back. All right. Where's my book? Here it is. I have a situation where, let me turn this around, where I'm farsighted and I put my near glasses on and it looks like one of my jump rings came off. I'll find that later. And I get to a point where I have to hold my arm out so I can see because it's not close enough or not far enough away. I don't know what the story is on that. It's really annoying. All right, here we go. I'm trying to put it under the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm not having any luck. Right, all right, all right, all right, here we go. I'm gonna pull this up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just fumbling with my clasp. Oh, for heaven's sake. I don't know why I do this to myself all the time on camera where everybody can see me fumbling. It's humiliating. I say that a lot. Come on, like that. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Oh, there. Goodness. There it is. There's my bracelet. Yay, 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 yay. There it is. Oh, well, it would help if I actually put it up where you can see it. Ah, there it is, ladies and gents. There's my bracelet. Egyptian spiral bracelet with African recycled glass beads. There it is. I love it. Okay, enough craziness. That's my piece for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know one way or the other. This is so pretty. Let me know one way or the other whether you followed okay, if everything came out okay. I hope I was on camera. I tried to zoom it down, pull it down so that you can see everything. I just keep looking at it. But let me know one way or another. Get in contact with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. Or you can put in comments on the library Facebook page. That's facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's DEKALB Or the YouTube page at youtube.com/DeKalb Library. You can find all of the Jewelry with Jen tutorials there. And if you subscribe, you will be able to be notified as to when the new ones come out. So until next time, have a great week. Have a great weekend, and I hope you have a great Mother's Day. I think there's another tutorial before Mother's Day comes up, but I wanted to make sure to get this in time in case you wanted to make something like this. But anyway, until next time, have a good, have a great week and weekend. See you later. Bye-bye.